In March to April 2014, 3 top 1s were released and rated by RobTop. These 3 levels were Stereo Demoness, Silent Club, and Element 111 RG. This was back when the community was very small, and most players were South Korean.
Dad, why do kids at my school say all Asians look alike?
I don't know, kid, but
What?
I'm not your dad, I'm your next door neighbor, Mr. Lee.
So a way to look back at the old community is with Naver or GW. A common debate back then was, out of these 3 levels, which one was the hardest? Of course today we know it's Element 111 RG, but a debate that we still aren't fully sure of is if Silent Club is harder than Stereo Demoness. Something important to mention is on the 11th of October 2014, Majako, the creator of Stereo Demoness, nerfed it to be more enjoyable for others. To nerf something in GD means to make a level easier, so if someone says unnerfed, it means that they're referring to the original version. This debate is so unsure that the Verify of Stereo Demoness said that it's around Silent Club difficulty. So in this video, I'll be analyzing both levels to determine which one is harder. The way I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna separate the level in parts to make it easier to judge the difficulty. A part will be measured by when the gameplay or decorations switch up for a bit. I did a practice run on each level to be sure which parts were harder or not. And before you say I'm not good enough to determine difficulty, my hardest is Ultimate Demon Mix by Zobros, so that should be good enough. With that said, let's determine which level is hard. Zero to 13 on Stereo Demoness starts off brutally with the first 6%. The 3% jump is really hard, but the quad spike at 4% and the couple jumps right after are really annoying. 3 to 6 is very hard to get consistent with. Other than that, not too bad. Zero to 9 on Silent Club immediately throws you into the spam, which is ridiculously hard to enter. But the timings after that aren't that bad. The ship does make this part a bit harder, but it's doable. So for that, I'm gonna have to give Stereo Demoness a point. "13 to 29 on Stereo Demoness has some awkward gameplay to say the least. These yellow orb buffers can be hard, and some of them you don't even have to click. This part may seem intimidating, but I believe you can get consistent at it after a lot of practice. 13 to 19 is the hardest part of the pre-drop, meaning the timings afterwards are decently open, and you're not gonna die here from 0. "9 to 26 on Silent Club has around the same difficulty as the first 9%, where the gaps are tight but not absurd. The only ridiculous thing to point out is this stupid spam at 13%. This spam is so inconsistent to the point where buffering is easier than spamming. But other than that, it's still reasonable. The reason I did 9 to 26 instead of 9 to 17 or 19 is because the difficulty doesn't change much throughout these parts, and I need both levels to make it to the drop at the same time. But because of 13 to 19, Stereo Demoness gets another point. "29 to 44 on Stereo Demoness is by far the hardest part of the level. Like, bro, if you hit these orbs one frame early, you're cooked! And that's the easy part of the job, because right after, you get thrown into this. What is this, bro? Was Majako on acid? And to make it even worse, you get these might as well be frame perfects right after it. Then another ridiculous couple timings after that. What is this? "26 to 44 on Silent Club does step up the difficulty quite a bit. And it's not because of the ship at 35. The cube and ball part are both harder than the pre-drop. After doing some tight cube and ball, you get thrown into this very interesting ship part, which I don't think I've seen anywhere else. If this ship was in 9 to 26, I would have given Silent Club the point. And I also would have given Silent Club the point if 29 to 35 in Stereo Demoness didn't exist. But because that's not the case, Stereo Demoness gets another point. Wow, Stereo Demoness is winning by a landslide. But Silent Club can make a comeback at any time. "44 to 66 on Stereo Demoness is the easiest part of the level, which is ironic because it's right after the hardest part. And it's even more ironic because the hardest part of Silent Club is next. 44 to 52 is just UFO spam with cool hand-like structures. 58% is a pick a path, but there's only 2 out of the 3 options, so you can either be a ball or a ship. I personally go for the ball since this transition into the ship is bad, but that's up to you to decide. Then there's an easy timing afterwards, and then there's the seemingly confusing blue orb quarter, I don't know, where it seems like you have to click all the orbs, but I found a way to make it easier. If you jump somewhat early, you only have to hit 2 of the orbs, the orb in the spike and the last orb. Also remember to hold after hitting both orbs. "44 to 52 on Silent Club is, as previously mentioned, the hardest part of the level. You have to do this ridiculous spam in a 2-block space, and the only 2 ways to make it easier is to jump late, but not too late or else you hit this orb, land on this corner, and spam as fast as you can. Then you get a short break before some more spam, and the transition isn't always the same each time, so have fun on that. Obviously, Silent Club gets the point. "66 to 81 on Stereo Demoness is decently consistent, and I actually didn't practice in one attempt, starting from 66 and dying at 78. Other than a couple clicks being hard, it's not too bad. Something worth pointing out though is this pink orb timing here at 69. You can either hit both super early or hit the first one super late. I prefer hitting it late, but again, it's your choice. The jump at 74 is in my opinion the hardest jump in this part. You probably won't die from 0, but it's chokeable. "52 to 74 on Silent Club is very similar in difficulty to 66 to 81 in Stereo Demoness, but I find this to be just a tiny bit harder than Stereo Demoness. The ship is decently tight, and the transition from the ship to the platform is random. After the ship, we get to a very awkward UFO, and man does this UFO suck. It looks so easy, but it really isn't. After that, we get another short break before getting into some ball gameplay. And I don't know why, but the way the spikes are organized makes it so weird to play. So for that, I'm going to give Silent Club another point. '81-'86 on Stereo Demoness has some way too tight strafefly through Q portals and underneath saw blades. And that's not even mentioning the atrocious transition into the ship portal. This is Phobos 58% dual transition level stuff. This from Zero must be a nightmare to do. '74-'82 on Silent Club has even more awkward UFO and ship.
Hooray!
I think you can see why this is questionable gameplay. '81-'86 on Stereo Demoness is difficulty. '74-'82 on Silent Club is awkward gameplay. To determine which part is harder, it depends on your skill. Most people have a skill of difficulty rather than weird gameplay. If you know there's a hard part at 90%, you lock in. If you know there's an awkward part at 90%, you're running on hopes and dreams. So that should make you understand why I'm giving Silent Club another point. Both levels have 3 points, meaning the level with the next point wins. '86-'100 on Stereo Demoness contains 3 tough transitions into things, those being the 91 transition into the structure, the 94 transition into the monster thingy, and the 95 transition into the final UFO. Very evil ending to a level if you ask me. '82-'100 on Silent Club is a maze with invisible blocks, but you can see it on the right side of the screen. There's about 4 jumps that are made to be very weird to fit through. The 4 jumps are 88, 90, 91, and 94. Although this is an awkward part, Stereo Demoness has the harder and more awkward ending. Silent Club has a slightly awkward ending, just not as awkward as all the other parts. So with all that said, Stereo Demoness gets the final point and is the winner. However, it's how you see the 2 levels. If we were going off the parts themselves without accounting for nerves and just accounting for difficulty, Silent Club would have lost easily. But Stereo Demoness's hardest part is at 30%, so you have to hold your nerves for 70% of the level, which is still pretty hard. Silent Club's hardest part is at 45%, and the parts after it are pretty easy difficulty-wise, but the 45% spam is really tough, and this spam spikes really high in difficulty. So ranking by points isn't a definitive answer. The reason I did this was to give more of a general answer to this question, so I hope this video was able to do that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.